My question is to the Minister, my good friend, the Minister for Employment and Workplace Relations, Senator Watt. Now, we know that tradies— he's a good mate. Now, in fact, everyone here is a good mate. We know that tradies, President, we know that tradies, warehouse workers, retail assistants, truckies and miners are essential to the Australian economy. Now, for a very long time, many of these workers in these fine industries have been on labour hire contracts and have been paid significantly less than their direct employees, often despite doing the same work, on the same rosters and even wearing the same uniforms. Now, Minister, how is the Albanese Labor government helping Australian workers earn more and keep more of what they earn, and how are the government's policies delivering a fair go for Australian workers?
Thank you, Senator Ciccone. Minister Watt.
Thank you, President, and thank you to my good friend Senator Ciccone. It's a great question on the issues that matter to all Australians, being their wages. Well, all year in Parliament, we've focused on the #1 issue facing Australians, being cost of living, and helping lift wages is a crucial part of that. The Albanese Labor government is deliberately trying to lift wages and create more jobs to help Australians deal with cost of living pressures. Workers in factories, warehouses, construction sites and on the shop floor are doing it tough right now, which is why this government is committed to improving their wages after 10 years of the Liberals deliberately keeping wages low. And one of the changes we've made to help working people is closing the labour hire loophole to make sure labour hire workers get a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. That is something the opposition continually opposed, both when they were in government and now in opposition. And I'm pleased to say that Metcash labour hire workers are the latest Australian workers to get the pay rise they deserve. At a warehouse operated by Metcash in South Australia, labour hire workers were required to attend the same meetings as direct employees, undertake the same training as direct employees, they worked the same rosters as direct employees and did the same duties as direct employees, but despite all of that, they were being paid up to $15,000 less per year than direct Metcash employees, and that all was allowed under the Coalition's laws. But as of yesterday, because Labor closed the loophole, the one you voted against, because Labor closed the loophole that allowed those workers to be underpaid, those labour hire workers will now be earning the same as direct employees. And workers like Tiles, who said, quote, "For 6 months I've been doing the same job as workers who were directly employed by Metcash, but I haven't been paid the same. This decision means that for the first time I'll be paid fairly for the work I do." Under Labor, workers will earn more and keep more of what they earn. Under the Liberals, they'll work longer for less.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Ciccone, first supplementary.
Thanks a lot, President. And I know many of our fine meat workers, flight attendants and miners, many of who will be working very hard in the lead up to Christmas, should not be paid less just because they're employed as labour hire. I do note that the opposition leader believes that paying Australian workers fairly would, and I quote, undoubtedly damage the Australian economy. So how has the Albanese government's same job, same pay laws, Minister, help Australian workers get a fair day's pay for a fair day's work?
Thank you, Senator. Minister Watt.
Thanks, President, and thanks, Senator Ciccone. Well, paying workers who do the same work is not only fair, but it also delivers safer, more productive workplaces for everyone, and that includes ensuring that labour hire workers get paid the same as the direct employees they work alongside. In my home state of Queensland, meat workers are now seeing an extra 25% in their pay packets because of Labor's same job, same pay laws. And one labour hire worker, Lance, was doing the same job as his workmate, doing the same roster and wearing the same uniform as him, but was earning $500 a week less than him just because he was labour hire. Because of Labor's changes, they will now be paid the same. But all this is at risk from Mr Dutton and the Coalition and their reckless policies. And when Senator Hume, here she goes again, was asked if the Coalition will scrap same job, same pay on insiders in September, she said, "We will certainly have to consider it." And we know when the Coalition considers workplace laws, it is never to help workers earn more.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Ciccone, second supplementary.
Thanks a lot again, President. Now, the Liberals and the Nationals have proudly said that those on the Coalition side of the chamber will always stand with the employers of Australia. They've also promised to take a suite of targeted repeals of workers' pay conditions to the next election.
Order.
Now, Minister, what is the government doing to put more money in the pockets of Australian workers and their families, and what are the key barriers to achieving this?
Minister Watt.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Senator Ciccone. It is disturbing that when Australians are dealing with cost of living pressures, Mr Dutton is so reckless when it comes to workplace laws. Laws that have meant Australians are now earning more to deal with the very cost of living pressures that they're facing. And the inconvenient truth for Mr Dutton is that he and the coalition have voted against every single Labor measure to lift wages and improve the condition of workers. Not once, not twice, but 48 times in this parliament they have voted against Labor's measures to increase wages and conditions. In fact, when we were passing the labour hire laws, Senator Cash, in a Sky News interview, described them as, quote, the most radical shake-up of Australia's industrial relations system in decades, and Labor is making a bad situation worse, and that these changes were an attack on the labour hire industry. So rather than support workers struggling to pay their bills, the coalition, quote, will always stand on the side of employers in Australia,
Thank you,
even when
Minister.
they're
The
underpaying
time
their
for
workers.
answering has expired.